Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. How is everyone doing this fine day? I got my man Stephen Big Beat Orr in the building. Stephen, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. The sun is shining and markets are still pushing higher here. Man, Bitcoin really took off yesterday. Had a really good day, and look, that's what we're all about is catching those big ones. But I get to say it, Howard. I missed my SQQQ, and I missed yesterday on DJT. So did okay
Yeah.
there. Got that one win, but it wasn't what I wanted, and then I missed on another one. So yesterday was like one win, two losses. So not
Hey,
a not
listen,
my normal day for me.
not even the New England Patriots went undefeated. So, let's keep that in mind. Your numbers are still pretty impressive here. I was 1 for 1. It was a small move yesterday, and we did take partial exit two with Scott Bauer and the group over at Prosper on that covered call on Mara that we had put together as a team on the year here. So that was good too. So we locked that in. That was a 50% win there. That was from October 31 till yesterday. So
Yeah.
nice little move there. Markets today, FOMC day, baby. FOMC day. Doesn't feel the same, does it? At least it doesn't to me. I feel like I'm still like taking that deep breath.
I don't think a lot of people think that Powell is going to be sticking around come January 20th. I think
I
that he'll be
definitely saw
replaced.
that,
Yeah,
across all the.
and I don't think that this is literally as clean as we expect. Look, it's still 25 basis points, but there's a lot to talk about. And while we're going to definitely see the FOMC, talk about that 25 basis point cut, um, I think the thing we need to look at today will be what the question and answer session is going to be.
Absolutely.
Look for questions about politics. Look for the questions regarding around Trump being now the president elect, and what that means for the future. I think you'll see a very skittish Powell today, probably one that's probably realizes that he's out the door, and things will change around a little bit at the FOMC. Now, does that really change the way we're looking at? Because we're talking about tax cuts coming into next year. Will that change the thought process of the Fed? And I know that Powell has mentioned it several times that we don't get into politics, but Trump has said he wants to be a little more handsy with FOMC, which is not a good sign. But because it's not the way we do things. There's a reason why we keep things separate. It's a thing called the Constitution separation of powers, right? For a reason.
Well,
But
and it
in
didn't
this
work,
case,
right? We went down that road.
we did
In
back in
past
the
history,
60s,
we
and
tried that, and the
it
knee-jerk
failed miserably.
reactions.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that I also want to bring up because some people don't realize that. I didn't until I watched your interview with Michael Litt.
right.
So
Yeah,
you know that you guys touched on all this stuff, and you guys touched on that his concerns, and I know we've reached out to him. We'll get him back on here in the next week or so to discuss it.
sure.
Does he fear a puppet coming in other words, you guys talked about one of his biggest fears for the economy would be, does Trump just put in somebody that does, his wishes? Because that would be, was basically his black swan event. Like that's the biggest thing to worry about. So,
Yep.
that's one to keep in mind that I do think is important. Bank of
Yeah.
England did do the expected 25 basis points that we saw. That we talked about with Stephen Flanagan yesterday, so not surprised there. He's been right on it.
And
Although
usually
I
that's flipped. Usually that's flipped because we see FOMC first and then Bank of England, but
right.
because of the election, it's been flipped. So usually the Bank of England follows the United States. This time, do we follow Bank of England? Is it already set? I think the answer is yes. But I think they had a lot to think about yesterday in the meetings. I think
Yeah.
they really had to go in there and say, you know what, things are going to change a little bit, and we need to understand that change and how things are going to change. So, yeah, I definitely. I'm going to tell you today. I'm going to be listening pretty closely to what Powell has to say.
Absolutely. One of the things that I want to, I'm worried about is higher for longer, as I've put into our Slack channel here, as being an outcome of this, which means inflation becomes back in. So that's what I'll be listening for. Does Powell bring up the fact that now, he had said, we got inflation, we're done. Now it's labor. And does that now change? What do we think?
Yeah, let's be honest. If what we're thinking about doing and what Trump is saying, if he wants to cut taxes heavily, margins will probably go up. Immigration, if we're going to kick people out of the borders, who's going to mow the yards, kind of thing. Yes, inflation is going to come right back up, and it won't be because of COVID this time. It'll be based on political issues. Um, Inflation is really a tax on people,
Right.
and if you add tariffs on top of that, on top of everything else, it's going to be good. It's going to be, I mean, it's going to be good for inflation. If you like inflation, and right now we're at 4.39%, and you are a person who invests in banking, then you're going to be okay here. And I think that's part of it, right? Is we make sure that we understand if that's the case, then do we go into the banking, into that
Right.
industry. And I think the case right now is yes, because I think a lot of that money on the sidelines is sitting in money markets. It's sitting in the brokerages. It's not sitting in the banks for them to lend. But who are they going to lend to when home prices are high and rates are high? So there's a big disconnect. So I don't know how the economists are going to come up with that. I mean, like I always say, if things don't add up in my head, things probably aren't right.
Right.
And so I really want to see how they handle that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I have some questions for you, more on a macro level again. Germany's coalition government fell apart,
Mm.
looks like, and their European bonds are selling off. The bond market threw up their red flag yesterday, and those yields are starting to rise quickly. And a lot were on the wrong side there. Why are we not seeing that play off into, the equities yet? Or is it just
Bonds are
a
selling off everywhere, right? Bonds are selling off, and I spoke to two bond desks yesterday, um, and they're all saying the same thing. They can't dump the bonds fast enough, and that's debt, right? And if
right?
that's the case, our debt will go through the roof if we can't, and our credit rating might be at risk again. And look, this needs to be a telltale sign of the Trump administration, because look, I know that they want to raise rates, and this is not good. But look, people are investing in the stock market. The markets are at all-time highs.
Yeah.
Something's got to give, right? The Trump administration is going to inherit a pretty good economy. I mean, it's not worked for everybody. We understand that. We saw that in the election, but the stock market's at all-time highs.
Yep.
Crypto all-time highs. I mean, yeah, we
Gold
saw a
pretty
bump
much all
yesterday.
time highs. Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
so many
So
different things.
you can ask
Uh,
that class, right?
yeah.
You get more money, you get more money. But it didn't work for everybody, and so now I think what's happening is you're going to some of that money coming off the sidelines. It's got to go somewhere. And I think it might go into the banks, and maybe some lending will happen again. But we saw today Nissan talked about it. They're laying off another 9,000 U.S. workers.
Yeah.
Why? Because their sales are down. You know, it's going to get worse and worse and worse, I think. And some of these policies might not be the right policies, but we have to live with them. We got to figure them out as we go
Absolutely.
along.
Absolutely.
And inflation has been high; it's been bad, and it's affected a lot of people. And because of that, they had to tackle it. And we saw Stanley Druckenmiller this morning, or late last night, this morning, talk about that they think the Fed might have been a little too early on cutting. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe Stanley, but I don't think so. I think they were trying to stave off recession here, and I think they've done a fairly decent job of it, with markets still high. But that inflation has really affected the middle class. That inflation has really affected definitely the people that are working the hardest, and that right there is probably why we're starting to see rates maybe steadying a bit here. 4.3865 on the 10-year right now. We need that to come down a little bit,
Right.
so that people can buy homes and buy cars and buy things on credit. Because every single time that ticks up, that's just like inflation, or that's just like an extra tax, because it's going to the bank. So
I will.
yeah.
I will say an interesting sort of takeaway that I have from some of that too, though, is I'm going to keep my eyes on D.R. Horton, Lennar, some of the public
Okay.
builders. which might sound contrarian, but as someone who bought a home when the rates were moving up, luckily not even, close to where they're at now. I know that there was great incentives put together by, Fisher Homes and Lennar to drive people like me in because they control the mortgages also. So they're making money on all the different sides, so they can do it. So I'm going to keep an eye on that because I do think that's big. And then the other one that you always tell me in times like that, keep your eye on Home Depot, right? Because people
Home
aren't going to be
Depot,
buying a
yeah.
new home, but might need to put an addition on, put a fence, put a patio, whatever that might be. So those are the two things that I'm going to sort of take a
And I,
look
I
at.
mean, let's be honest. I mean, the hurricanes have really, there's lines at Home Depot down here because of the, obviously roofs and leakages in the house have happened. And, Home Depot is the place you go to get roofing and you go get hammers and things you need. So Lowe's. And I'm going to switch up a gear up a little bit. One thing we've been talking about for a while here, Howard, is weight loss drugs.
Yeah.
And guess what happened today? I think you mentioned it earlier, and been talking about it. Krispy Kreme's misses on earnings, and not just
Yeah.
misses bad, and lowers 2024 guidance and possibly in 2025. They see what's happening. People aren't going to buy at McDonald's. They're not going to Krispy Kreme's anymore and buying a dozen donuts for the office. They're bringing carrots into the office now, all right? And so uh, look, I understand it. I'm not going to the restaurants as much as I was either. And I think you're going to see a whole lot more. But you'll see them in better places. And we've talked about this. Cake is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Where maybe a more quality.
And with that being said, Krispy Kreme is down 7.73% here in the pre-market
Yeah,
after that miss.
yeah.
So, getting hit hard. I think they're one that is the perfect example of it because they don't have anything that's healthy. You know what I mean? They literally don't have a healthy option.
Hey, I like my Krispy Kreme donuts, so I
Yeah,
understand.
see, I'm a
But
Dunkin' guy. At least Dunkin' evolved and tried to get some egg white stuff going. Krispy
hey, I
Kreme's
like
just
Dunkin'
doubled
Donuts
and
too.
tripled down and said, give me more sugar, give me more icing. Don't get me wrong, the 4-year-old, she is a big fan of the Krispy Kreme, but
Hey, I like Dunkin'
luckily,
Donuts too. I used to go there when on the way to work in New York. But I'll tell you that look, the truth of the matter is people aren't eating 5 donuts; they're eating maybe one now. They're
yeah,
cutting way back, and they even if they want them with the weight loss drugs, they're not actually eating them. So or as many, and so that because of that, I think you're going to continue to see that they're going to have to change. They're going to have to do something now. Here's what I think might happen with Krispy Kreme. You want to guess?
what?
I
Merger and
think M&A.
acquisition,
That's
merger and
right.
acquisition.
They are ripe for an M&A. Look, you saw that with Yum Brands back in the day with Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pizza Hut came together, right? There's a lot of those kind of things that will happen. And I think the same thing might happen here. I think you might see a company picking up a Krispy Kreme or picking up a Dunkin' Donuts, DUNT. And because of that, I think M&A is ripe. And now with Lena Khan almost out the door, with again Sir out the door as well now. I think you're going to see M&A just go hopping, mad hopping. But let's one thing at a time here. But I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it can't go the other way, right? It's we've been on the other side of it where they've basically said to everybody, no, you can't buy anything and you can't, merge and or do anything. So that's going to open up there. Yeah, could be a good day for your Disney because I saw Warner Brothers Discovery with a big beat. Those two sometimes play in sympathy with each other. Do you have any takeaways from the Warner Brothers earnings? I know that their max subscriber growth was what was really sending the stock higher.
Yeah, it's very simple for me. It's whether or not they got movies coming out, right? So Disney has a new Star Wars live action show coming out. They had one
Moana,
called
baby, Moana. I told you I have a 4-year-old.
Moana 2. Yeah. You've also got Agatha, something Agatha. I don't know what it
Christy?
was. No, it was
Oh,
Agatha. It was Agatha all along. I think they called it
oh.
Disney. But they are now appealing to everybody by using that Geo, using their ABC connections. All of those TV shows are now on Disney. I have Disney Plus as well. But let me tell you, it is winter time. And wintertime in Florida and wintertime in Disneyland means one thing. That means the parks are full and they have their very
Right.
Merry Christmas. And good luck trying to get in right now. There are no tickets. People are
Yeah,
spending.
I tell you that we have a Six Flags here, or it's part of Cedar Point actually, but and yeah, we're trying to get the breakfast with Santa stuff booked in. Like, yeah, if you don't do it the second it comes available, you can't get it. So, I do think experiences, and I think you're going to see that continue. That's a generational switch, the generation right now that's coming into the workforce, they're all about, travel, they're all about experiences, concerts, sporting events, all these things. So I think that that's a great call too, Steve.
And
Um,
let's give President-elect Trump some kudos here.
yeah,
One of the things he said yesterday is he wanted to tackle high price of sporting event tickets.
yeah, price gouging in
He,
his opinion.
he said price gouging was happening. I agree with that. That's Live Nation, right? And you're looking at sporting events. I agree with that. These fees for fees upon fees, and we don't even know what we're doing. We saw that back during the 80s and early
Yeah,
90s with the telecom industry, right? They were throwing fees. Now we need to know what those fees are for. I agree. I mean, get rid of some of these fees. If you've got to charge higher for those ticket prices, okay. Explain to us why, though, because quite frankly, because XYZ person, the wide receiver for the Giants, now makes $5 billion. That's
right.
not a reason, right? That's too much money for a person playing sports, right? And I think that I agree.
Yeah, and especially those hidden fees like you talked about, it was interesting. The wife just experienced that. She wanted to go to an Ohio State game and thought she'd found what was fairly reasonable tickets. And then when I pointed out to her the almost 50% added fees to it, her head almost exploded. Because they don't, and you can't, there's no way to see it till you literally put your credit card in on these sites. And that's what I think is going to change. That's one. Hey, you ready? The sky might be falling. That's where I agree with Elizabeth Warren. That is, that is one of the, it's like when you try to unsubscribe from something and you've got to go through 87 steps. Meanwhile, all I had to do to sign up for it was make the mistake of going on your website. Those are the things that I do think, need a little work. Hey, another one there, and you've talked about this because you are the man that discusses cocoa prices. Hershey's down a little bit here, but I think it's a combination. Again, I think it goes to what you're saying. Are you eating as much chocolate, as you used to? I'd ask you.
The answer's no. I'm not eating
Yeah.
chocolate hardly at all. I don't have any in my house, and I like Hershey's chocolate. My wife, obviously being from international Ireland, thinks chocolate in the United States is disgusting. I
Yeah,
agree
she's
with
got to be a
her.
Cadbury girl, right?
We like Lindt in our
Okay, there
house.
you go.
Obviously,
Okay.
I'll be at Lindt headquarters in Zurich next in a few weeks. But I will tell you that, yeah, it's again the same situation. People are eating less chocolate. And now we are getting into the holiday season, and hot cocoa will be a thing. And we're winding down because Hershey Park actually is in the north, so it will get cold. So yeah, they're going to start to wind down a bit.
Well, Hershey
Um,
Park, though, again, like you said, I go. We try to go. I don't know if we're
yeah,
going to do it
it's
this
packed
year.
now,
We go
but it
every
won't.
year. Yeah, we
But it won't be
that's
packed at Christmas time this year, I don't think,
yeah.
because it's
That
cold.
the park will be. And again, they make
Oh,
a
you
pretty
think so?
penny.
Okay.
They make a pretty penny on what they charge you there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. But that's usually one that we hit because it's right halfway in between DC and Ohio. So when we're taking the little one to DC
I
to
mean,
her
this was a
dad's.
$200 stock, back in September, and when I was talking about Hershey's going up, I
Yeah.
liked Hershey's at the time. As you know, I took my profit off of Hershey's. Today, I don't like it anymore. I might like it if it got back. Now you have to go back a few years, especially during COVID. Everybody was eating chocolate during COVID. It was just
Absolutely.
uh, right, but I don't see that happening anymore right now. And weight loss drugs are really, really affecting fast food, and sugar prices are just dropping pretty hard too as well.
Well, what I'm going to bring up here, MSTR should be fun to take a look at today with the moves up by Bitcoin. This thing traded up to 261 yesterday again, all-time high. Looks ready to explode here again, and only down about 1.25 in pre-market trading. We haven't really talked too much about that. In their earnings report, Michael Saylor came out and when we talk about Bitcoin's price and your $100,000 price prediction, I might be coming over to your side sooner than later here. I got to
What?
be honest with you because you know he doesn't joke around when he says these things. They're gonna buy $42 billion worth of Bitcoin, 21 billion in two different funds, obviously because there's 21 billion Bitcoin. They're gonna do it in the next 21 months. But more importantly than that, Cynthia Loomis came out yesterday, and
I'm getting
Cynthia
ready to say,
Loomis
yeah.
is the number two ranking Republican on the Senate Banking Committee. So,
And she
Senator
might
Scott runs it.
become chair.
Well, no, she's going to go chair. They're going to make a digital assets. They have a digital assets committee
I love it.
that
Okay, I didn't know that.
she's going to be the chair of. And she has come up with a proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Yeah.
We've heard RFK, who we know has the president's here, right? He's talked about a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And what I think is going to why I think this is actually extremely plausible now. Remember, we have the third largest wallet is the United States government. So I think that, the Trump administration is going to realize that that's a way to start to pay out down some of this debt. We just talked about all the things.
El Salvador did.
Yeah, we joke. What do I hashtag things with, right? BTC fixes this. That's not a joke when it comes to this. Using it for the strategic reserve in the right way, not selling our Bitcoin like they did 6 months ago, right? But actually holding it, earning yield on it where it's available, because there is places where that's available, and turning it into a profit maker.
And this is sound. If you think about it from the perspective of what the United States owns, the thing that keeps us afloat all the time is the assets that we own. Yeah. Let's talk about that. We own gold, Fort Knox. We have other gold places we won't talk about. We have oil, lots of oil, even if it is privatized. The United States can take it over. We have oil. And of course, we have the most precious thing, two things on the planet. Number one is land. Our land is worth way more than it's worth right now, and is our human and our labor here in the United States. It's very high. It's a high net worth because of software and things of that nature. Those things are what keep us afloat. So if you think about it from an asset class, then having another asset class on the balance sheet that keeps up with inflation. Oil kept up with inflation. Land has kept up with inflation. People have kept up with inflation. It's tough, but they did. And you look at gold. Gold has outpaced inflation.
Yeah.
Right. It's another asset class outpacing inflation. I think it's brilliant. I think it's good. And I can take my quote Bitcoin with me when I go overseas. I don't have to carry a pocket full of yen and a pocket full of, which I do have to do that with Swiss francs. And I'll tell you what, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's good. And I think that's where we're going.
Right. I mean, my feelings on it. It is definitely the way to go for a bunch of different reasons, like you just said. And the scariest part to me, and it's not scary, but is that you really have to keep in mind, if I told you this 2 years ago, what would you have said to me? I'm crazy. It's amazing to see this turn.
And I know you personally, you are crazy. So let's.
Well, that's true. Okay. Well, thanks, Steve. We'll take a left turn on that note right there. Today's a day I'll be keeping an eye on these pumpers. My early morning pumpers and stuff, because I don't see much I want to play around with going into FOMC today. How about you? What you got anything? I mean, I still think
I think you need to talk about it today. I think one of the things you mentioned this morning was Bitcoin itself. Was this buy that's coming in at the end of the day? Explain that to the readers and the watchers.
Sure. Yesterday I actually have the infographic up on our site. Is the Bitcoin ETFs had $621 million in inflows yesterday. $621 million in Bitcoin needs to be bought by those companies to satisfy those the way that the ETFs work. They're actually backed with the holdings in Bitcoin. Takes about 24 to 48 hours for those flows to be bought. They don't buy it just at Coinbase with a market buy. It's done, OTC. But there is no supply of Bitcoin. I can tell you because I am in a bunch of different Slack channels with over the counter trading marts, and they're begging for Bitcoin. There isn't enough to supply this. So what you're going to see is, and that means they have to dip into the exchanges. It means that Coinbase, which has an over-the-counter, Gemini, which has an OTC, and they'll have to pull from their regular supply. I've been talking about this for about 3 months, right? When people first started getting bitter when Bitcoin went down to 53, why is this happening? The halving has already happened, and I said it takes 6 to 8 months for that supply shock to come in. You're seeing the results of that supply shock, and you're seeing it amplified. So, that's why I would keep an eye on why I'm holding half of my Mara call still, why I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, why you bought back in. I have a feeling, because you normally would have, not done that, is that we see what's coming with this supply shock, and
Yeah.
it's pretty
And let's talk
drastic.
about that. I mean, your Mara calls. How does is there like a lever that these miners can switch on and off, and how fast they're mining, and how much is it just gets so hot in those buildings that they can't handle it?
No, I mean what it is the Bitcoin that they're mining becomes more valuable.
Right.
They're all becoming more efficient. They're partnering with nuclear power plants and green energy around the US, and where there's surplus energy around the world is where these Bitcoin mining companies work. But what's happening is we just saw it. Riot's about to open the largest Riot RIOT, the largest Bitcoin mining facility in the world in Texas is about to open.
Yeah.
This stuff started 3-4 years ago. Now it's coming online. It takes that long to build out the infrastructure because, again, this is a huge undertaking. So you're going to see companies like Mara and Riot that have been doing this. What's interesting, and I talked about this too, after the BRICS meetings, right? Saudi Arabia is in a race to get Bitcoin mining facilities put up in these BRICS nations. Why? Because they saw if Trump wins, that's what he's going to do. We
Right.
have lots of stranded energy that can do it, and this is how, we've even seen where they use the coal dust, it's called, in Pennsylvania. That's actually, toxic waste that was byproducts of the coal mining industry, and that can be used to mine Bitcoin. I think you're going to see that start to take off again.
Yeah, 100%. Totally understand that. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you got it right. I mean, these miners aren't getting smaller and smaller. They're getting bigger and bigger. They're building, and I think you're right. They're getting more efficient, and they're looking for that exact thing. They're looking to make it more efficient. And look, I watched a movie the other day, and they said Bitcoin price today is $1.5 million. Like, wow, But you know what? We thought it was a big deal when it was $75,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. When it broke
So
100, I did a happy dance.
I did a happy dance at 1100. I didn't even know what to do at 1800, right? Got to 7,000. When I got the, I remember when I got to 19,500. I remember when I dumped. It was a special day in New York City because I think I was given all kinds of bottles of liquor. The truth is now it's 75,000. If I had known and kept it then, would I have been okay? The truth of the matter is it supplied me with other accounts. But I will say this much: we're at 75,000, bouncing around between. It was 55,000 just 3 months ago.
Yeah.
If I told you buy Bitcoin at 50, well, we did buy Bitcoin at 55,000 and just hold on to it. I don't do that. As the price goes up, I sell it. When these spikes go up, I sell it. And when they spike back down, I buy it back because I'm stacking sats. So I'm not trying to dump. I'm trying to get more. I want more. And every time you see liquidity happen and people are, trying to get in and get out and trying to time the market. Okay, that's great. But that's for people like you and me, right? That understand these charts. But
Yep.
when you're looking at Bitcoin, there isn't a lot of Bitcoin to actually buy. It's like going to an oil field, and the oil field's down to the last 10% of oil left in that hole, and everybody's trying to buy that last bit of 10% and sucking it out. And if we want to put this in real perspective, how many Bitcoin are there? 21 million. How many so far have been mined? Right? How many have been lost? How many people don't even know about anymore, forgotten about, or owned by Michael Saylor or the U.S. government? There isn't a lot left.
Right. No,
So, and
when you talk about the amount of people that want to go in, like we've talked about, like we've seen, when high net wealth individuals decide that they want a 3 to 5% allocation in Bitcoin, again, there's 21 million, over 21 million millionaires in the U.S. alone. They can't all own one Bitcoin.
that's right.
So keep that, that was, I'll still never forget that. And I don't even
It's
know
a
how many millionaires there are now because that's a 5 year old quote that
all right.
I have.
Market's open right now.
Here we go.
Market
Let's see
market
what
open.
happens. Okay, Mara moving up. So Bitcoin looks like it's probably going to start moving up. Mara back over 1903 here for me, moving. Whoa, 1906. It's pumping up nicely here to start off the day. I did have some pumpers I was watching here this morning. Let's see what goes on here. There it is. ENSC is one that I'm definitely watching here this morning. ENSC for those pre-market pumpers here. Trying to cross VWAP here. There you go. This one could be in play. So this one's at about 71 cents right now. VWAP just above it. Struggling to get through it. If we get through VWAP and then you break above this spot right here, you see at 74, this would be in play. So we need ENSC here, and it's had huge volume this morning. Already 11.4 million in volume. Average volume is about 50. So it's got the volume already moving. That's in the first minute here. There it goes. 720, 72.60 here. 73 cents. It's going to try to run here. Fortunately, I didn't get that loaded up in time here. But that looks like it's going to run here. We might have our first runner. Let me get up here. I moved my screen around. Make sure I have my halts up. Nothing going on there yet. There it goes. 75 cents. Man,
Boom!
I
Now,
should have.
nice job. Nice job. You called that right out.
You could see that one was going to do it. Here it keeps going. 74. What's going on with some of these others? APP was another one we talked about. AppLovin. I didn't even know this was a company till this morning. I thought it was a description. I saw the headline, AppLovin, up. I thought that it just meant more people were buying apps on Apple.
Bitcoin back to 75 here.
That's what I mean. Here we go. 236. Another runner here.
Anybody liking DJT now down about 14% on the day?
Yeah, Steve, this is the ones where you normally look at it and say this is oversold at this point.
Yeah.
Problem is yesterday it got down to that 28 level, so you still got about 10% downside you got to worry about there. Same thing, Fund down 10% here. So those trades seem to have blown off, but they can pump at any time, so I won't sign them off. I've got them here on my pumper screen just to be safe.
Duke Energy now says that Trump's planning would make it consider burning more coal. So we're going to be going back to the coal mines with Trump.
ENSC here, 77 cents. 77 cents, 78 cents. Damn. That one, you could see it was loaded up, and that's got room up here all the way to about 85 cents.
Tick down 257 here. So some of the selling might be happening right now. Mercado Libre now down about 13% here, 1839 now.
Is that one you would look to pick up here on a drop?
Yeah, I like Melly here because I think it's one of those companies. You still gotta own it. It is I do. You know what? I might just. Yeah,
I'm not trying to push you into anything there, Steven.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that.
I just
I am looking to buy Melly here. My fingers can't move fast enough here. And I am in Melly right now. Let's see here. I bought Melly at 1847, 77. So 1847, no, 06. Sorry about that. So I will probably be holding this one maybe a couple of days here, not a 1 day thing here.
I like that move. I might actually follow you in on that one there.
I'm actually going to pick up just a little bit more there, I think. Yeah, 1850 now. There we go. We're doing it now. It's starting to move a bit here. 1851 now. 1854.06. I have picked up a little bit more here. I like this. I like this a lot. Oh, 1843. So look, the spread here is a little wide. So be careful here. Oh,
I'm gonna try to get it at 1835. See if I can get in there.
1830 now. We're slipping a bit now in Melly, but I really like this a little bit longer term though.
You know what? I didn't do mine yet. I'm gonna try to get in at 1830. Give me
Yeah, I
one
can see
second
that.
here.
1830 now. It's right there. It's where it's at now at the lows of the day. 1820 now, slipping
Okay.
a bit. 1815 a little bit. Wow.
I'm gonna let it sit a second here.
1811
1811.
now.
I don't know if I have. Let me take a look here to see if I have an actual target. It is moving back up a little. 1812.
1810. 1814.
1805. I'll tell you what. I might look at this 200-day MA as the support. 1755.
Yeah, I can totally see that on the daily chart there.
I'm gonna put in a wish,
1798.
a wish list Philippa there. 1755.
Yeah, this one is hurting me a
Okay.
little bit here.
So I'm gonna go in.
1793.
I just loaded that in, Steve. So we'll see if we get a fill there. I'll keep you updated on my side. Okay, let's see what else we've got going on here. Tick is down about 200 here. VIX at 1534, down another 5% here. QQQ 509.54. Was looking at SPY yesterday towards the end of the day. Were some folks in our Slack here. I pull this up. Looks to me like it is on track there. I think you can look at 598.24 here today on SPY as your target. 598.24, half measured move. You can see from the lows here on September 6th, we made our first move up, retraced from the highs we had in late August, then bounced, used it as support, made its move up, came almost down to test it on support, but right about the 50% level, now making its move. So I like a move up to 598.24 here on SPY this morning. QQQ is a little tougher for me to get a good read on. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to figure out a good target there. But, sometimes, Steve, you ever see that? I just have a chart, so it just doesn't hit my eye today. I can't, I was looking at it last night for about an hour trying to figure out what I thought QQQ was going to do, and it just isn't coming to me. I don't have it on that one. I couldn't find a measured move that I liked, that it was sort of following a pattern, sort of just out there. 593, like I said, 598.24 is my call there on that.
$18.11 now, 18.15 now on Melly. We might have found a bottom. 18.18 there. We're coming back
I
up.
didn't get it,
18.
Bill, unfortunately. AMD up about 1.52. Steve, Qualcomm had some good earnings today. Up about 2.32% on that news. SMCI actually up almost a little over a point here this morning. Looks like we have a stop DXYZ. DXYZ. Whoa, that's definitely a stop. Okay. What do we got here? That's definitely a runaway. You'd be looking to play that to the upside for sure. Problem is, I don't know if there's Oh yeah, here's your go. You can get some targets now. It's got room to 31.20. Keep an eye here. Right at resistance at 23.57. It's got to break. If it breaks 23.57 here, I'd be looking for it for a run. 31.69. So we'll keep an eye on that.
1830 now, Melly.
ENSC, 88 cents now, Steve. 88 cents.
Kaboom.
Man, I wish it. Should have had that loaded up. 86 cents, up 56% now.
Kaboom. Look at yeah, we've had a little run here now on the tick, up to 46 now as NASDAQ is now looking at 21,000 here. Oof.
SPY trying to break the highs of the day here too. There you go, baby. We got an early morning runner. Bitcoin trying to break back above 75 here. What's
I'd
going
like
on
to
with
see it, but
MSTR here? Let's take a look at MSTR. Here's one with Bitcoin going up now. MSTR is trailing it right now. Could be a one to play. Someone looking for a short scalp here. Not shorting, but a short-term scalp. Just broke through VWAP. If it retests this right here, 255.74. Be looking for a play back up to that 258.92. This one's your more play on a scalp with a. I would actually be looking at MSTU here. MSTU, what's that doing? That is Mr. Tuttle's. Yeah, this would be the one to play right here on that. MSTU here at 82.56. I like it for a run to 83.60 here. It's coming back up a little bit to 15.50 here. Gold rebounding today about 1.18%. Same thing, silver up almost 2% here to 31.70. Oil back 71 over the 71 handle here. Apple up 1.5% here today. Abercrombie and Fitch up 2.56 today.
We're really struggling at the 75,000 handle there on Bitcoin. There's a lot of sellers up there.
Yeah, it's a nice round number. I think that we're going to see that here. It's going to take that buy from the ETFs to push us through 75. I think a lot of people are just, listen, again, if you bought in at 53 to 55 just a couple of months ago, 75 is a nice round number to take it off. You said it yourself. You did it. Don't get mad at others for it.
Yeah. You might get your wish list on there on Melly.
Oh, yeah.
They are really hunting for that 200-day moving average.
Oh, yeah, look at that. 1782. Come on.
Dollar is slipping here, 104.30 now, as some of that Trump trade yesterday is coming off now.
Yeah, people got to be taking profits at some point, you know. Again, we've talked about it. If you're not, Baidu up 2.69. So some of the ones that were down yesterday or seem to be rebounding. Bank of America. Boeing trying to get back above 149 and hold here.
Yeah, I do like. Oh, Melly might have picked you up. Where are you at?
Let me tell you, it was 17. I'll tell you right now.
1770 is the bottom there.
No, not yet. 1755.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait. No, 1775. But I didn't get a fill.
You should be filled.
There it is.
Yeah, you're filled, dude.
Yep. I am in at 17.75. Okay. I'll actually enter mine in here on this.
VIX seem to be slipping just a wee bit here. Bitcoin, yeah, dropping again, 74.7 now. It just seems to be so stuck at that 75. Cannot get past it right now.
No, there is definitely some sell pressure there.
Nice move on Melly there, 1793 here.
Bank of
So
America down about 1.1% here. Berkshire down about 1.45. Steve, what do you think that our man Warren's going to do with his money?
hold it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. He does not like the new administration coming in. He's not a fan of him, and he doesn't like what he sees. And he's starting to. He did what he did. He sold a lot of Apple. He had a large position in Apple, which is up at 1.3% today. 1793 again on Melly there. You're
Telling you what, if
17.
you're a scalper, DJT trying to break through VWAP here, if it does at 30.64, could be in play here. Could be in play on a break of 30.64. I'm going to be interested to see if he builds up his shares in the Japanese trading houses. I think that's where he's going to
Might
put some
be. He
money.
might be. He's trying to expand his repertoire there.
So, and again, for those that don't know, even though they're called trading houses, the big five, as they are known in Japan, are really private equity companies very similar to Berkshire Hathaway that provide many services and private equity functions throughout Japan.
Which I will be at in mid-January,
Yeah,
early January.
nice.
All right.
Okay, we're in 15 minutes here. Let's see. I see a new halt's coming across here. Let's see what that's going to be. Come on, what's coming on there?
Dutch Brothers BROS up 40%. They're talking about that today on right now. Kramer's talking about BROS.
Okay. That ENSC, man, that thing got all the way up to 98 cents here, Steve. Man, that was a pumper to watch.
We have some numbers this morning, wholesale inventory numbers and wholesale sales. Wholesale inventories we're expecting minus 0.1%. Wholesale sales we're expecting month over month up 0.2%. Not a whole lot of movement there. 1800 now on Melly again.
Nice.
1801. They might have found a bottom there finally on that dip that you picked up, which I thought that was a really nice move.
Thank you, sir. Intel back up another 1.8% here today. So even though it's getting moved out of the Dow,
CPRI, which got beaten up because of the miss of the merger there, which we think will not happen anymore, which should happen in the new administration, up another 3% today.
well, Tapestry.
Dropping in Bitcoin just got smacked here, 74.5. Big volume there, dump.
Tapestry had earnings today, so that could have a little of the play with Capri there too. Company that was looking to buy them.
Silver back to 31.75. So people aren't quite ready yet to celebrate from yesterday. So people are buying up silver and gold again.
Does look that way for sure. Not really much. Neo up 4.2% today. In fact, the MCHI, the China fund from iShares, is up about 4.33% today. JP Morgan retracing here, down about 2.37% after the big jump up yesterday. Same thing with Wells Fargo, down 1.72% here now.
Oh,
DXY's
drop.
dropped also, Steve, back down to 104.33 here. So after getting up as high as 105, almost 105.5 yesterday, seeing a retrace here. So dollar cooling off a little bit. We'll mention also nice move up by the sterling. So as Steve Flanagan had mentioned yesterday, he was looking for that to try to retest that 130 level before he'd be looking to short that. So that one still in play based on what he said. Ooh, Volkswagen looking to recall about 114,000 U.S. vehicles over airbag concerns. See another stop here. LFST just got stopped. LFST. Life Stance Health. Stop to the upside here. Let's see what we got. Oh, this is a cute one because you've got room to 923. This one definitely would be in play here. LFST stopped on the way up at 861 here. It's got room, it looked like, till about 920. So it's not too bad on a $8 stock there. So this is one to keep an eye on here. Just went on stop here at 47, so you still got about 2 more minutes before it comes off. I'll add it to the wall, not to that watch list.
Tick has gone off the charts here. Tick now up 800.
There are definitely still buyers out in the market, Steve, without a doubt.
Ron Williams says he's watching VST this morning.
Yeah.
Boom, there's a pop there in Bitcoin, back to 74.5 again, 74.9 again. 75,000 on tap.
I mentioned MSTU here when it was trailing MSTR. It just popped off there.
Under Armour today up 30% UAA.
That's a company that just did everything wrong, huh?
We're from that area. We know.
We know Mr. Plank.
We do.
It's a shame. As soon as he gave up being CEO. SPY trying to break up to highs of the day here. Still seeing some strength. Still seeing some strength. There you go. Highs of the day on the SPY. 593.82. Belly back down at 1780. Not quite able to break it yet here.
Qs are at 510 now. APP still flying high now, still on the highs of the day here. Oof.
Yeah. That one's flying. Lyft, another one we got to talk about, up 30% here today, Steve.
Yep, Uber, Lyft, they're all doing quite well.
Yeah, robo-taxis, man, waves of the future.
Yep, technology is about to really explode here in the next few years. Dollar's still pulling back here, 104.30.
LFST came off that halt. Looks like it's halted again. It is.
Oil now 71.51 now a barrel. Still trying to push a little bit here.
Melco pushing up again today, Steve. Another 5.47.
26.94, about to be $2,700 an ounce. That drop from yesterday is pushing right back up.
Hey, Ron, VST, no, I don't know if that's looking that great here. Not on the short-term chart. Trying to consolidate in this area. You got to stay above 130.97 there on VST, Ron, or you've got downside back to 124. He is using it so far, though. It's got good volume today, 3.57 million, almost half its normal daily volume. So VST's in play here. Yeah, definite downside to the 128.76 right now, though. Looks like a downward gap fill to me, actually.
We might have touched that line there on Melly there, the 200-day moving average.
Yeah, I saw that. You said,
We
though,
bounce
this
off.
is more of a swing trade than the other.
It's a swing trade. Yeah, this is not a daily trade. This is not something for today. It's holding for a while here.
Yeah.
NASDAQ now on the highs of the day here.
I'll tell you what I do like in the energy nuclear section. Talon, TLN looking good here. Trying to break back up to all-time highs. Again, another one that Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle have been all over in theirs. This is one you could keep an eye on here, Ron, if you're looking for that nuclear play. Looks like it wants to do a breakout continuation. B4 looks good. Yeah, this is one definitely could look good here today. Quickly, let's see. Let's take a look and see what measured moves looks like. So you can see back on September 26th, it just hit those highs, broke those all-time highs. Let's see, if we start here. Let's see what was first measured move. Duplicate it, layer it on top. You can see we're almost at the half level, so a half measured move on TLN would bring you right about that 200 level there. So you'd be watching that as a pivot point here. So that's what I'd be looking at personally here, right around that 281 level. Pivot point, see what happens as it does it. Any break of that, though, puts you all the way up towards that 217, 218 mark in play. So TLN is one I actually like for the measured move. Keep an eye on it both ways here. Pivot point, again, 281. Gets more momentum. It could take you there. Otherwise, you have a possibility for that pullback to that 183 level.
Yep. 1795 back on Melly. 1798 now. Get back above 1800 and we go right on up, I think. Back on up.
Bitcoin back at 74,900 here.
1806 now. There you go.
Hey,
Yeah, somebody's dumping.
You nailed it. We are about 2 minutes away from finishing up this morning. So, have you seen this going? What do you think? We continue this through FOMC? What do you think we're seeing here, Steve?
I think we're seeing continuation from yesterday. I don't really think that anybody cares what Powell has to say today outside of the institutions.
Hey, I don't argue with that point. It's not all over the news like it normally is. I think it's taken a back seat. It's funny to say that, and what I'm going to say from that, though, is that's when I usually look for the Powell put, as you like to call it.
Powell puts,
So,
okay.
that's the only thing. That's the other thing I would say here is I'm going to keep that in mind. Is because there's not much going on here, seems like it just might disappoint people. So, Steve, thank you again, like always, for joining me here this morning. Quasar Markets Live. Thank you guys for joining us. Let us know what tickers you want us to take a look at. Always willing to go through the charts with you, giving you our views, both on a technical and fundamental level. And everybody, we will see you back here at 11:30 with Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle. And then we have Scott Bauer, of course, at 1 p.m. today. Thank you so much.